Welcome back to IFPG Discover, where we discover hot brands, movers and shakers, real players in the franchise industry, changing lives through IFPG. Well, we've got a unique and very special edition of IFPG Discover today. By the way, I'm your host, Red Boswell, president of IFPG and Franchise Wire. Yes, we're joined today by Rep'em. It's not a single brand, but a powerhouse franchise sales organization that does a whole lot more than just sells. We've got co-founder Nick Sheehan and co-founder Rob Cambruzzi on the call today. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us, Red.
Thanks, Red. Appreciate it.
Excited to get to know you better, tell the world and certainly the IFPG consultants all about what Rep'em is doing and the massive impact you're having in the franchise community. So, Nick, you're up on the top of my screen. Let's start with you. Who is Rep'em?
Well, if I put it in a nutshell, I think Rep'em is first off, a franchise development firm that focuses on really everything that an emerging brand or a brand that might need a relaunch would need. So starting with Brandem, right? Brandem is our first division that focuses primarily on everything to do with consumer marketing to potential candidates, to consultants, and also getting the message right on the go-to-market strategy for the brand. Our second division is our Growing division. That is our franchise sales organization. So that is a full, I would say, development team for any one of the concepts we work with. We have over 30 employees that work in just that division alone. Our third division is Build'em, and that is what the company was founded on, originally called RPM, and that is our construction management division. So when a franchisee signs a franchise agreement, we're going to help them source their location. We're also going to help them with construction management. And the final division is Scale 'em. And most emerging brands, what we have found over the years in franchising is they're not prepared for 100 licenses sold in the first year or whatever it may be. And so we have to set them up for success. So Scale 'em is our operational arm that really lays the foundation down for their success in the future growth that is about to come down the pike for them if we do our job. And what I like to say is, we set them up for success, whether they have 3, 5, 10, 15 locations out of the gate. And when a franchisee comes in and a candidate comes in, it feels like they're a 100-unit concept already because of all the layers we've put in to make sure they're ready for that growth. So that would be what I would believe is Rep'em in a nutshell.
Love it. Hey, Rob, you're on mute right now, but did Nick miss anything?
No, he nailed it.
He nailed it.
Good job,
okay.
Nick.
So let's go back to the beginning of Rep'em, and I hear RPM before Rep'em. What caused you, Rob, to create, I guess let's start with RPM and then expand with Nick to the full Rep'em plan?
Yeah, sure. So really, there's a huge issue that I saw through, growing up in the franchise side, that there was a lot of units sold, but getting them open was always the problem, right? And I was a vice president at a large development for, it was Driven Brands, which is the largest automotive group. And we even had that problem with all the capital and everything that we had behind us. It was, still a big issue. So
to start to define the issue was getting
the issue
them
was opening franchises, not selling them, right?
Right.
Selling franchises can be easy, but getting them open, that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where people make money. That's where the royalties come in to be able to support the systems. So it was a huge focus of ours, was to really focus on that from the get-go. If you look at Rep'em, it actually used to be RPM, but it's real estate project management. And so that's really where it came from, was helping franchisors and franchisees open units so that they can be successful. And along the journey, it became apparent that, well, if you weren't selling enough units, it's hard to open them too. So we started getting diversified and launched with a brand called ISI in the franchise sales arm. And shortly after that, it was fuel on the fire when Nick joined, coming out of St. Gregory, and we rebranded into the Rep'em Group with the 4 services that Nick just laid out for you. So the whole notion of what we do is not just, hey, let's sell a bunch of franchises, but let's focus on the entire, view of what does it take to be successful as an emerging brand to get it to 500 units or above. And so those components are all of the franchising expertise that we bring. And then the brand obviously brings whatever it is, that widget, where it could be health and wellness, it could be early childhood development, it could be, home services, whatever it is. We're not experts in that, but we are experts in franchises. So we bring all those tools large toolbox to the table and then go forward with our
Nice.
partners.
Well, guys, FSO, we hear FSO all day long, franchise sales organization. We work with them all at IFPG. And as you heard me when I introduced them, they are so much more. Repum is so much more than just a simple FSO. And for clarification, for the few that might not be real clear, FSO is just simply an outsourced franchise development team. Could be one or two people, could be a huge team of dozens, as we see with Repum, but they are simply, as a Zor, outsourcing your franchise development process. We just heard 3/4 of what they do is beyond just awarding, selling franchises, but scaling them, branding them, making sure they get open properly and can handle that volume successfully. So love that you guys do that, because if there is a complaint about the really successful big FSOs, it's that they don't care, they just sell them and move on. Not in this case. Nick, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in that game for being part of a franchise sales organization for the better part of 10 years now. And, you know, the reality is, yes, we can sell a lot of franchise units. That's something we know how to do very well. But what always really irked me was you'd sell a lot of licenses, and we've all seen it, where they sell hundreds of licenses and they open 10. Right. And what happened to all those individuals that put all that money in, and they were trusting those individuals for that franchisor that they were going to help them be successful. Now, we all know there's an element of risk in any business. All franchising does is reduces that risk in your success, or reduces your risk in failure. Right. And so ultimately, what I believed and Rob believed was, if we could create an organization that could help reduce the risk further for emerging franchisors, we were going to do that. And we didn't want to see those stories anymore. And one of the big components to that was, I saw it so many times, but I also felt so bad for the franchisor, because I'll be honest, most of these franchisors just don't know what they don't know. They're not getting into this with ill intention to screw people out of their money. They're coming in with great intentions, but it's really hard when you haven't done it before and you don't know what levers to pull, when to pull. And let's be honest, franchisees are very demanding. They're like kids, right? They are your kids at the end of the day, in a different way. So I think that's crucial. And if you're not prepared for that, you're never going to win. And so all we can do is try to help them win by preparing them better. And that's what we do.
Sort of like a franchisor supports their new franchisees and gives them the systems for success. You're doing that for the Zor, giving
Correct.
that, right?
Yep, 100%.
You're kind of the Zor for the Zor.
It's all about one thing. I mean, you know, if you look at our tagline, it's grow confidently, right? And that's what we want to feel good about. Is Nick always uses the phrase, you know, we want to build the airplane on the ground before we fly it. So, you know, there's often times where we're spending a lot of time and effort and dollars, whatever it may be, to get those brands, you know, in the proper state before we launch it. Sometimes that's months, sometimes up to even a year in advance. And so when we bring forth brands, you know, to the IFPG network and, you know, out to the world, we really feel like they're baked. That, you know, we're not going to be flying this airplane unless it's, you know, fully certified and ready to go. And that's the key about Repum. And I think it's our big differentiator, right? We do have an FSO, you know, arm. It's grown. Repum is not an FSO. It's a full development house.
Full development house. Okay. I promise I'll forget that. So Rob, stay on you for a moment. You started with ISI Elite. Where are you today?
Yeah, so today we are at 14 different brands, many different you know, areas of expertise. Like I mentioned before, early childhood development's one. We love the health and wellness space.
Okay, Rob, I'm interrupting you here. Let's go down the brands that are with Repum today. And if you could share any that are coming, we would love that too. Start with you, Rob, and let's tag team with Nick. Rob first.
Awesome. So I got Ellie Mental Health was obviously our big one. Forever Young, Alloy Personal Training. We have Kiddo Kinetics. We have Milkshake Factory, Health Source, Garage Kings, Pause. We have Milkshake Factory. Maybe I already said that one. We got Splash and Dash. Help me out, Nick. I think we got one or two others.
Yeah, Art of Drawers is the 11th. And the 12th would be Sugaring LA. And that's where we're at right now.
Strong. Okay. And we've got a bunch coming down the pipe, shall we say. Fantastic.
right.
Okay.
We got a
Thanks.
home stretch coming, which is going to be a good one.
Home stretch, the stretching concept.
No, everyone says that, but it's actually home stretch when you sell your house. It's revamping your house before it sells and getting more money for it.
Nice.
You're on the home stretch.
Easy. All right. Play on words. Consultants, by the time you see this, there may be 2 or 3 more. Obviously, repm.com, Repm Group. What?
Repmgroup.com. Yeah.
Repm, repmgroup.com. You can see them all. And for consultants, you can certainly just log into our system, search Repm, and all 14 or more.
I got two.
The hot brands, and you assign a lead franchise development rep for each brand, and then they've got a team behind them supporting the lead flow, handling territory checks. Great response time, by the way, on your territory checks. Well done. And fricking and fracking behind the scenes, some impressive technology you incorporate as well. Nick, anything you want to share on how further differentiators in that full house of development?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things that are about how we do business that are different.
Okay.
So one is we preach and talk about our culture all the time. And I think culture, people, and partnership is what we talk about all the time as well. Because if those 3 things don't align, whether it's for our employees, whether it's for our clients being the franchisor, we will not win. And third, our partnership with consultants. And so it all meshes together, and it all has to be, we got to be singing the same tune. So from leadership down to, our administrative assistants, they all have to be singing that same tune, going out to our partners within our brands, and then our team directors and VPs talking to consultants. And so it is something that we religiously follow, one, but two is I think that culture is really all about, we win together, we lose together. We're going to die in the vine together if something goes wrong, but we're also going to notice that team effort makes it happen. And we really make sure egos are checked at the door, because there's no room for egos in this business. Egos always get in the way of success of business, in my opinion. So that's a big thing for us. And then the final thing is we all have contracts for everything we do. But I think that if you talk to any one of our clients being on the Zor side, why they value Repm, it's of course success that we provide them, systems we provide them, and a good way to be successful. But I think we've all had issues with clients, and we just deal with the issue head on like, let's figure out a win-win here. I don't care what the contract says. This is business. We got to figure this out together. And I think that helps us on really developing who Repm is. And that just isn't with our franchisors, that's with consultants and with our employees. And again, it's got to bleed into all 3 of those elements. Otherwise it doesn't work. And I think that's a real big differentiator for us.
Very good point. Well, Rob, we've had some great regional discovery mixers. The consultants absolutely love it, and you guys do a world-class job of supporting the consultants during those. In fact, of the 25 some odd regionals, 3 of them have been in Charlotte. And I have it on good authority that another one is coming in 2024. So for the consultants that haven't participated in those regionals, Rob, give us some insights on what we've done and maybe a little teaser for maybe what's coming in the future.
Yeah. Well, if you know anything about Repm, we love to roll out the red carpet, especially for IFPGs. And look, it's all about making sure there's connection. I think that was a theme, throughout the last year or so, is making sure that you get to know us, we get to know you, and we really build on that relationship to be able to help each other, right? So in order to do that, we don't just want to sit and give pitches all day looking at sales decks and all that. We want to take time to actually get to know you, which means, maybe getting out on the lake and hanging out, or maybe it means going to a concert, or it could be, checking out a couple of the breweries around Charlotte, or going to Top Golf. We've done all of those items. We continue to try to find new ways to invent ways to connect. And I think, coming up next year, we were definitely got a lot of good comments from the last concert that we threw. And we want to go ahead and try to find another good date so we can marry up with something like we did. Red Hot Chili Peppers was the last one. So listen, we love to take care of the people that take care of us. And we're looking forward to that next one in Charlotte.
Amen. That Red Hot Chili Peppers concert was one of the most epic regionals we've ever had together. And it was so memorable. 3 suites at a Chili Peppers concert in Charlotte. Fantastic, great weather, great time. And why do we do that? Consultants, franchisors, understand the consultant really needs to have a relationship with that franchise development rep. You know, the brand is one thing, the rep is the face of the brand, the communicator to the consultant and the candidate. And without a good franchise development rep, nothing else matters. And so the consultants really need to get to know, need to get to like, and they need to get to trust that franchise development rep for whatever brand might be a good fit for their candidate. And so we'll go to these cities, fly consultants in from all over. Great franchisors will either be there or fly in, and we'll spend 10, 15, even 20 hours together over 1 or 2 days and dive deep on brands, visit locations, break bread, have a drink, and just go build life together with awesome franchise brands, and more specifically, awesome franchise development reps. And that's why we love Rep them so much, because they are awesome people. They bring on the right culture, the right folks that fit, and frankly, they fit really well with IFPG's culture too. So Nick, looking forward into the future of Rep 'em, we know where you've been, what, 4 years, 5 years? How long have you been around, Nick?
4 years in January will be our official, yeah.
It will be 4 years this coming January 2024. It's
Yeah.
not even 4 years. Oh my gosh. They've risen to be one of the top 2 or 3 FSOs and beyond in the world, possibly the only one that does to the max of what they do. But if you just take the FSO piece, one of the very largest, most respected in the world in less than 4 years. So very well done there. We know where you came from. We see where you're at. Where are you going, Nick?
Yeah, so I think it's continuing to develop, you know, what we do best, which is brands. So I think we'll grow and potentially go and, you know, add 5 to 6 brands next year, and ultimately get to probably 20 plus brands. But I think, you know, aside from just growth, I think it's really developing more of our products, and our products are one of our 4 pillars. And if you look at Brandem or Scalem, I think that Brandem has grown substantially. I mean, we had one sole guy, Dennis Jackson, running that department in the beginning, and now we've got 5 people in that department continuing to grow. And on the Scalem side, from the operational side, it's just continuing to help and assist more in different ways with franchisors. And so I think the most important thing I can tell you is what I think the future holds for Rep 'em is to continue to sharpen our own swords with our skill set to provide more value to the franchisors that we're bringing on. Because as we go along, which is a great thing to see, there's a lot more sophistication coming into franchising every year. You know, there's more private equity money, and the more money that gets thrown at anything, usually it provides more sophistication around whatever it may be, technology, people, and so on. And so we've got to grow with that, right? And we've got to be on trend on that. And I think we're just trying to attract more and more good people. And because Rep 'em now is on the map, you know, we're able to do that. And luckily, I think it's also being super selective with the brands that we bring on that meet the criteria that are needed. So in order to be successful, because we could do our job, but if the brand's not prepared to do their job, that also doesn't work. So those are the big things in my eyes.
Well, you've been around just shy of 4 years, Rob. Of the brands that you've brought onto the team and represented and helped to grow, have any of them had any particular exits or thresholds or investments that you can share?
Sure, yeah. One that comes to mind is LE Mental Health. We've had a wonderful experience with them. They've been phenomenal partners to work with. You know, when we started with them, they weren't even a franchise. They had, you know, several corporate units. We turned it into a franchise and able to grow that to close to 650 units over a short period of time, and, you know, open close to 200 of them in a short period of time as well. And, you know, that's a testament to, you know, what our capabilities are if we set it up right. It took us 9 months to actually put that one together before we actually launched it. Another one recently, actually, just 2 weeks ago, had a successful exit to another private equity group, and that's Forever Young. And we're really excited about our ability to continue with these groups after these investors come in. They obviously see the value in what Rep 'em is able to produce, and have both of them actually sign, you know, agreements to continue forward with us. So we'll continue to work with Forever Young. There'll be more investment there to support that network, and I'm really excited about where it's trajectory is heading right now. So a couple more on the horizon. We're definitely, doing the right numbers and doing the right things.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting to see.
Well, I can tell you, I'm a proud fan of Alloy Personal Training. You might be able to tell, but don't want to brag. I'm a fan there, a client, and Forever Young. I'm actually 85 years old. I don't look a day over 83. So Forever Young has been taking good care of me. I got the IV drip. I think they call it the Forever Young Master Pack or something, where you just get all the goodies.
Feeling like Superman after that one, right?
You do, yeah. It totally looks like, if you've ever poured a Red Bull in a glass, it looks like Red Bull up in the IV drip, but maybe it is. But I felt good regardless, and that was fun. I don't know if you saw the videos I posted on LinkedIn the other day, but that was number 2 of the trip through the Forever Young in Flower Mound, Texas.
Awesome. Testosterone's next for you, right?
Hey, at 52, probably so. Right on. I'll take it. They say I've got a lot of energy, but I can always use more. Hey, so Rob, it sounds like you're the man on the build 'em side. You came from that arena. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I learned something at retreat recently. It sounded like, and I was running around, I heard half of what your team said. It sounded like some of those pillars, maybe all of them, I don't know, can be a non-grow 'em brand. Like a Zor can literally hire you just to do the build 'em and not the grow 'em. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, Red. And we have worked with other FSOs on concepts that they've been building, and so build 'em is there really to help the whole industry. As much as we like to hoard it for rep 'em, it's certainly there to enhance the industry as a whole. And it's all about just getting those units open so everyone has success. But it's not just about getting them open. You have to really watch the time and the cost, right? And franchising is all about systems. We want to make sure that there's a good process and system in place for those that may not have experience for it. That's why people buy franchises, right? So that's really what Build 'em is. It takes it from a licensed sale all the way through TI reimbursement. While we're not the general contractor, we're not the broker, we certainly know how to manage those folks. But we're managing one key element, which is the item 7. And we all know when people buy franchises, you're selling a franchise, you're selling off of the item 7. How much is it going to cost you? And we really put a laser focus on making sure that we keep the parameters inside that item 7. When it goes outside, that's when trouble occurs, and it can really be a big problem for franchisors. So knowing that we can open these inside item 7, parameters that we're selling, knowing the operations of what takes place, we can do that for us, internally, but we can also do that for other brands, and we'd love to help them because I think it helps the industry as a whole.
It really does. Absolutely. The more you get open. And by the way, sometimes folks will hear like the incredible numbers you used with Ellie earlier, 650 awarded, 200 open. Some folks who aren't real familiar with that arena might go, that seems like a lot of sold not open. No, in 3 years, and so many of those are, or 2 years, I don't even know. So many of those are a 3-pack, a 5-pack, where they're opening 1 per year. And so I'm blown away that you've got 200 open on 650 awarded. And Rob, in what period of time?
Yeah, it's roughly 2 years, a little over 2 years. So we're opening north of 100 a year, and we have a good pipeline of a lot more coming online. But I think if you go back in the history of a lot of brands that go on runs and you look at those numbers, it's really impressive. And so we stand by what we say. It's not about just selling them; it's about opening them, and certainly happy to help others do that. So.
It's a great brand when I see IFPG consultants who get a peek behind the curtain, who see what's going on, who've experienced the process with their own candidates. That same consultant goes and buys a 3-pack themselves. I've seen it a number of times, and that's the ultimate validation right there.
It is, Red. And I'd say, we have, Nick, how many employees own how many different brands at Rep 'em?
So we have 5 of our directors or VPs and or marketing individuals that own multiple licenses in brands that we represent. Kiddo Kinetics, Ellie Mental Health are the 2 main ones that people have purchased so far.
I've got on my whiteboard. I'm not only a client, I'm the playa president. So they're not only part of the team, but they are, as the hair club for men, they're a client as well. Very cool. Nick, how many, think about the last 12 months. So a kind of a running 12 months. How many units has Repum awarded throughout your plethora of brands?
Well, if you go through the history, not too long ago, we awarded over our 1,000th unit since inception. And but if you take the vast majority of that, that's happened over the last 2 years. And I am happy to say that this year we will probably be north of 700 licenses in that range, in that arena. And the important thing there, I think, is and we talk about Ellie a lot, and we're incredibly grateful for that relationship, that partnership, and what it did, because it did two things. It put Repum on the map and it put Ellie on the map, right? And ultimately, that's a great thing. But last year, I mean, they were a good 80% of our business, right? Because that's just how much of a rocket ship success story that was. This year, it's flipped. So we have brought on a lot of new brands, obviously, to diversify our portfolio, not only in offerings with different industries, but obviously have more clients. And so we're not only going to grow from last year, but we're also seeing the fact that, we've diversified so that we're not so heavily weighted on a client, which no one ever in a business wants. So yeah, it's been great. So we're pretty excited about that. And I think, ultimately for Repum, if you look at 2024, our target is to see about 800 licenses awarded. And that's probably where we'll hit. So.
Well, make sure you
I'll add to that, just
getting
the
a
opening side.
milkshake.
We'd love to see 300 plus, right?
300 plus on what?
300 plus openings is what we'll see this year.
Fantastic.
And that will just expand for next year.
As long as one of those openings is a milkshake factory near me, right beside my, it needs to be right beside Alloy Personal Training, so we can balance that out.
That's it. Yeah. That's the smart move.
Yeah. Maybe throw a yoga next to that, and then a juice bar, so I could just kind of ride the wave.
Yeah, you'll Red, if we do a regional and you go to a milkshake factory, I promise you'll roll out of there and you'll have to take a break for about 2 hours after.
Bro. Yeah.
The record is 8 milkshakes at one Discovery Day visit.
Say what?
I said the record is 8 milkshakes in one day. So see what you got.
Was that you, Rob? Do you hold that record?
Unfortunately, it was. Yeah.
And he doesn't even eat dairy. This was like a break the rule, and
it was really not a good day.
Or maybe it was.
Maybe it was, but it wasn't. Yeah.
Oh man, restraint, brother. That's what Nick's there for. So, yeah. Awesome. Well, guys, it's been fascinating. Further thoughts. So I'll start with Rob and then end with Nick. Rob, any final thoughts for the consultant to really understand Repum, your growth strategy, and why really all the Repum brands should be in that. I hate the term short list. I'm a big fan of never having a short list, but we're all human and we have favorites that just click. So why should Repum be in all your brands be in those clicks?
Well, I think you can feel super confident in positioning a Repum brand because of all the work that's done, not just on the franchise sales process that's really tight, right? We know how to do that, but also the other side of it. Once you send a client and they actually buy, you want them to be a referral for you. You want that to come back to you through validation, right? And you can feel confident that when you send a lead and they buy a Repum brand, that's going to be the case. So it's all about making sure that it comes back around, right? And if it comes back around time and time again, creates a great thing. And that's what we want. We want validation. We strive for it. That's why we dump all these millions of dollars a year in these other segments of the business to ensure that you can feel confident about sending those clients to us. So always think about that when you think about our brands.
Right. Well said. Nick, final thoughts on Repum and the brands you represent?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just very blessed to have seen what we've been able to accomplish over the last 3 years. And, I've seen a lot in franchising, and I've been a part of a lot. I've been through COVID and owning a massive fitness brand. That's not fun, right? So I've seen the ups and downs that business can give you. And so I think with those experiences, like a lot of entrepreneurs would say, you live from those experiences and you get better from those experiences, and those experiences don't kill you, will make you stronger, right? And I believe that. And I think with Repum, because of that, it's really special. Also, just having been part of a big franchise development firm in the past, I was fortunate enough to learn a lot of the great things to replicate and the things that didn't work so well to try to get out of doing in the future or not apply. And I think that's partially what's made us successful at Repum, is knowing those things and having the experience to be able to have that experience, but provide that for our employees and then our clients and then consultants, because I've been working with all of that for a decade. So I'm just, again, very blessed to have the team we have, the clients we have, and frankly, the consultants we work with, because those relationships couldn't be more important to us. I mean, we know that, we understand that, and we value it greatly. And then, just for the future, I just believe it's really bright. I believe we're in the golden age of franchising. I think we're all in a very fortunate time, and that's just luck of the draw, kind of. But I think there's just so much growth and opportunity coming down in the future here for everybody. And, being a part of that and riding the coattails of an industry that's on the rise is a great thing. So I'm super excited about that.
Amen. There has never been a better time to be in franchising, never been a better time to work with Repum, and certainly never a better time than today to be with IFPG. We're so excited about the future, especially the future with our friends at Repum. We're going to grow it, build it, scale it, and do the other fourth one with them together and grow it more and more and more, guys. Time for another coffee. Love you, appreciate you. This, my friends, is your IFPG Discover with the best brands in franchising. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you, Rob.
Thanks, Red.
Thank you, guys.